What's going on, guys? My name's Dean, and there's 22 rounds down, one to go of the AFL season. Oh my goodness gracious me. It's gone so very quickly because my team's done so very poorly. Let's take a look at the ladder for round 22. The Swans sit on top there with a game to play. 3 percentage points out of the Adelaide Crows. Geelong there as well. The Hawks also there with a very poor percentage. So they'd want to get the win this week. Otherwise, the Giants and the West Coast could leapfrog them this weekend. The Bulldogs also in the top 8 looking for a home final this week. And North Melbourne just, confirmed their position in 8th spot. St Kilda actually have 44 points, not 40. I've got that wrong there. But they need a 25-goal win. And North Melbourne need a 25-goal loss if St Kilda are to make the top 8. So it's mathematically possible, a 50-goal turnaround, but highly unlikely. Melbourne lost their chance of the loss to Carlton this week, and they're pretty much done as well. So top 8 has been set since round 5 now. It's official. There has been no changes since round 5, since the Gold Coast Suns dropped out. And they're currently in 15th position. So they had a 3-0 start to the year. They've been kicking themselves. And Carlton just broke a 9-game losing streak. So good on them. Let's look at the matches. Friday night we had Hawthorn get beaten by the West Coast Eagles at Domain Stadium there. 25, or is it a 15-point win? I think it's a 15-point win. Okay, no, so I've actually got it wrong. Hawthorn on 67. I don't know how I messed that one up. I was like, it feels like more than just 15 points. Anyway, 25-point win to the West Coast Eagles. 10-70, 67, not 77, you idiot, Dean. But let's have a look. Kennedy kicked 5. Darling kicked 3. He looked very dangerous in that first half as a backup. Big news out of this one was Nick Naitanui tore his ACL. The Hawthorn also had Segler do his ACL. So, not good for either of those teams' big men, especially for the Eagles. Hawthorn have got McAvoy and a couple of other guys who can come in and play that role. But West Coast, they have Sinclair, but he's nowhere near the caliber of a Nick Naitanui. And that really kills West Coast's finals hopes, I think. I mean, I feel like they'll still do okay in the final series, but I just feel like without Nick Naitanui, they lose a lot of the dominance that they have throughout the middle of the ground. And it's going to be very tough next season as well without him there in that position. Let's keep going. We look to Saturday, and North Melbourne almost got back on the winners list, but they lost to the Sydney Swans by 9 points, but it was still enough to solidify themselves a position in the top 8. Swans with a 9-point win. Buddy was goalless throughout the match. Harvey kicked 3 for North. Brown kicked a couple. Dalsano kicked a couple. Petrie looked dangerous, but not super dangerous. And North Melbourne, they need to be going in firing this September. They missed a few opportunities in this game. You can see 10-16, a little more accurate. They probably would have won the game. But they kept Sydney pretty good. They had their defense pretty well sorted, and they just sort of lost the plot a little bit in the second quarter. So, or maybe it was the first quarter where they lost the lead pretty early. So they need to just fix that little bit up of their game and just stop the patches, and it should be okay for September. They might play the Giants in week 1 of September, so they might have the same scenario as last year, where they play same team 2 weeks in a row. And I'll get onto that a little bit later on. But here we go. We got Richmond, and they lost to St Kilda. They were pretty. It was probably the worst game of the year, I must say. After I said St Kilda probably played in the best game of the year, which was against Geelong, they've now played in also the worst skilled game of the year. 9-point win to the Saints. Rowan kicked it. Oh damn! Where are the St Kilda goal kickers? I thought I did good this week. I thought I'd done everything right, and no, I've missed St Kilda's goal kickers. So that is a poor form from me. Paddy McCartan kicked 2. Tim Membry kicked 2. Billings and Rewalt kicked 1 apiece as well. And for the Tigers, they had Rioli kick a couple. Elton kicked 1. Rewalt kicked 1. I think, what's his name? Lambert kicked 1 as well late in that game. And Callum Moore kicked 1 in his first game. So, yeah, it was one of those just weird games. I mean, I watched the first 3 quarters. I watched it all delayed because I wasn't home. So I just was like, nobody tell me the score. I got home and I was watching it and I was like, this is a piece of garbage. I just flicked through the last quarter. I just had it on 2 times speed or 3 times speed because I just couldn't sit through it. It was pathetic. But yeah, so got a good win. If they end with 12 wins at the end of the season, they'll be pretty good and pumped for that to go into next year. I mean, they'll be disappointed on missing out on the final series, but they'll definitely be pumped going into next season. The GWS Giants, they flogged Fremantle, who have by far had the most disappointing season of the AFL. I mean, you can argue that it was Richmond, but I think Fremantle, their dramatic fall from grace. They're currently sitting even with Brisbane at the bottom of the ladder with the 3 wins. And if the Bombers get a win over Carlton this weekend, then they're even with the bottom of the ladder, Essendon. So they are in all sorts of strife going into next season. I know they've had injuries and things like that, but they've just been pathetic, Fremantle. I mean, we don't hear about it too much in Melbourne, but it just seems like they are in a world of trouble. For the Giants, though, Patton had a big game, kicked a bag of 6. Cameron kicked 3, Johnson kicked 3. You know, the usual suspects there, and Griffin was very good. I think he laid 11 tackles as well there, Ryan Griffin, so very good effort from him. Same with Lachie Neale, had the 40 touches, but also had a number of tackles. I think it was over 10, so very good effort there from Lachie Neale, who's probably been the one shining light in Fremantle's season thus far. Now, the Giants need one of the top 4 teams to lose next week to make it into that top 4 side, or into the top 4, because they have, I think, the best percentage in the competition. No, the Swans do, but they're very, very close. Next, we look at the Coleman, and that Kennedy has won the damn thing, pretty much. Unless Buddy kicks like 12 this week and Kennedy's scoreless. So, the West Coast Eagles come up against the Adelaide Crows. So, who knows? The Crows have a pretty good defense. If they can keep Kennedy quiet, there's a chance for Buddy. Who do the Swans play? They play Richmond. And even though he plays on Rance, who Rance normally beats Buddy, kicked 5 goals against the Tigers last time. I wouldn't mind seeing a big Buddy bag over the Tigers this week to see him launch into the Coleman, if you know what I mean. But that's pretty much how it's going to go, unless Lynch kicks 15 or something. Highly unlikely scenarios there. Let's move on. The Collingwood and the Gold Coast Suns. The Pies, big win as well. It was like 40-2 or 80 to something at halftime. It was an absurdly huge scoreline. They ended up winning by 71 points in the end, the Magpies. Good way to finish the season. I mean, the Gold Coast aren't the best team in the comp, but they're improving and they're moving on. Jesse White kicked 3 goals, 4 kind of goal kicking is that. Treloar had the 38 touches as well. He got a ton of the ball this season, a ton of it. Almost had 700 disposals, I think, which is, I think there's only 4 players that have done that, and I think Lachie Neale was one of those as well. To have just done that this season. But Collingwood a good win. The Gold Coast, we know they're looking at next year. Collingwood also as well, kind of. And Darcy Moore did his hamstring, which I thought was very disappointing. I'd like to see him play. Hopefully he's good for the preseason and good for next year. This was a pretty good game. Port Adelaide and the Adelaide Crows, 15-point winners of Crows in the end, kicking, it was like goal for goal very late in the match. We thought Port Adelaide were just going to push and then they'd get one and then the Crows would get it back almost instantaneously. So, very, very good from the Adelaide Crows. They kept the challenge off. Someone threw a banana at Eddie Betts, got a life ban, so that's the disappointing aspect of that one. But Eddie Betts, he kicked 5. McGovern kicked 3. Walker kicked a couple as well. They kicked 15-19, the Adelaide Crows. So they would have been ruining if they lost this one. Had so many opportunities. Aaron Young kicked 3 from his 8 disposals for Port Adelaide. So talk about making the most of your opportunities there. Ollie Wines was pretty good. Trav Boak was good. And Robbie Gray really looked the only dangerous one in that last quarter for Port Adelaide. And they couldn't quite get the job done over the Crows. So very good stuff from the Adelaide Crows. Got the win and they can finish in the top 2 now. Top 2 with a win over the West Coast next week. What the hell was that noise? Someone's doing tool work outside. Next thing is Carlton and Melbourne. This pretty much, this did set the top 8 in stone here. Carlton with a 20-point win over the Demons. Buckley kicked 3, Graham's a couple, and Cripps. Very, very good player. Paddy Cripps had the goal and had 30 as well. Hogan kicked 1-3. Vandenberg 1-2. Missed plenty of opportunities, Melbourne, in front of goal, as you can see by their 7-16 scoreline. Viney and Tyson was pretty good. I think, Tyson was probably their best player, I think, from what I was hearing on the radio. Moving along now. Melbourne, they're pretty... Oh, hang on, let me just go back one moment. Melbourne, they're pretty disappointed with their year, I think. They would have liked to make the finals, but they just dropped a few games. Beat Carlton, beat Essendon. You're in the finals. Simple as that. So they're definitely very. I reckon they'll be very annoyed with missing out on those ones. Next game was Geelong beating the Brisbane Lions by 10 goals. Motlop kicked 5 straight after kicking 1-4 last week. So he's fixed up his accuracy. Danger kicked 2-4. Had the 28 as well. Menegola had 33 touches. But the Lions, they looked pretty good throughout that second half. And then they just got run over the top by a superior Geelong side. Obviously, they're in two different places, these clubs. Bell looked pretty good after 9 weeks out with the knee injury. Rich was great as well, and so with Rockcliffe. So those guys, they'll be probably better for the run next year. I think Brisbane, and Hip would look pretty good as well in that forward line. But I like Brisbane, and kind of I see the potential they have, but it is very, very difficult for them. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one there. Now, let's keep going. Final game of the round. The Dogs beat the Bombers by 40 points in Cooney's 250th and Stokes' final game. And in his final game, he had the 31 touches. Not a bad effort, to be honest. Dixon kicked 3 for the Dogs. Caleb Daniel kicked a couple. And Tommy Boyd 1. And then they had a number of other goal kickers as well. Danaher kicked 2-3. The Bombers, look at that. I mean, even in a loss like this, their accuracy is never great. Zach Merritt, All-Australian. Has to be All-Australian. He's been a gun this season. Been the one... Well, the one of a few sort of little good things in the Essendon season. Him, Tip and Woody have pretty much been the story of Essendon's year, and they'll look to take things out of that. So, and so they'll be pretty happy with how that has panned out for them. The Bombers, but the Dogs get the win. They're looking for a home final next week. Need a win over Fremantle in Pav's final game, but I think they should get that done because, face it, it's Fremantle at the moment. Let's look at the top AV, top 8 to finish things off. Geelong 8-2 still at the top of there. Hawthorn dropped to 6-4. Should really be in third position. The Swans 6-4 as well. They jumped up one position. Then you got the Giants 4-4. So they played the least amount of top 8 sides. The Giants, they played 8. West Coast will play the Adelaide Crows this week in a game that will shape the top 8 very much. The Dogs play the Fremantle Dockers. They're 4-5. And North Melbourne come up against another top 8 side in the GWS Giants this week. So they will actually play the most top 8 teams, North Melbourne, I think. They'll be, 11 games against top 8 sides. See, that's unlucky. An unlucky draw. Well, they did play the Giants twice, I think. This has to be the second time they played it. It can't be the first time you played a team in round 23, right? But that is it for this week. We have one more awesome round to go, and then it's finals. Oh boy. I'll see you guys for the preview on Friday this week.